Hi everybody, let's get stuck into reflexes. So what we're doing now is topic, let me get my schedule, topic 5, part 4, yes. So it's week 5, the last content in week 5. So here are our learning outcomes for the entire subject. And here are the learning objectives. Now, what are reflexes? So, reflexes are responses that are automatic in our body, okay? They're quick. Usually you do a reflex without even knowing about it. Like something happens, you put your hand on a hot stove, you pull your hand away, and then you realize what's happened. So it is very, very quick. It always happens the same way, and you don't have any control over it. They are involuntary. So just so you understand the terminology, stimulus is something that is going to trigger some kind of a response, okay? And that can be a change, all right? And that can be internal stimuli or external stimuli. And as I said before, reflexes only go one way, and it always goes the same way, and it's a pre-programmed, an automatic response. Reflexes are designed to protect your body from being damaged, okay? So there are two kinds of reflexes in the human body, and one is somatic and the other is autonomic. Now, somatic reflexes are those that involve the skeletal muscle, and the autonomic reflexes deal with or involve smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, and glands, okay? That's the difference between the two, all right? So that's the two different classifications. Just what is being acted upon. Right, all reflexes happen using things called a reflex arc, okay? Now, a reflex arc is essentially a chain of neurons, okay? Now, let's have a look at the parts of the reflex arc, okay? First of all, we have a receptor, something that is detecting the stimulus. And then we have this here, which is called, what is the response, okay? Is it skeletal muscle? Is it cardiac muscle? Is it smooth muscle, or is it a gland, okay? The sensory neuron, okay, this is neuron number 1 in our chain, brings information, incoming information to the back of the spinal cord, remember? Because sensory information comes in from the back and motor information comes out from the front, okay? And remember, this is the bulgy bit here, which is the dorsal root ganglion. So we have one neuron carrying action potentials this way. There could be an interneuron, which is sitting in the spinal cord, okay? And then you have your motor neuron firing action potentials down here and telling your muscle to contract, okay? Now, the best way to learn about reflexes is to look at some different examples. So we're going to have a look at 3 different examples. This particular reflex is a type of stretch reflex, and the whole point of this reflex is to make sure that your muscle doesn't stretch out too far, okay? Because if your muscle stretches out too far, eventually you're going to break cells, and that's not good. So your body is trying to protect you, okay? Protect you, your body, your reflexes are trying to protect your anatomy, your organs, okay? So what happens in this reflex is when you hit this little tendon here, it causes this muscle here to get longer all of a sudden, okay? That is picked up by this receptor here, and action potentials start firing. In they go, dorsal root ganglion, they come over here, and then this neuron talks to this neuron, passes on the action potential, here we go, and tells the same muscle to contract, okay? That's a very, very simple reflex, and it only involves 2 neurons. How cool is that? Right, let's have a look at another more complicated reflex. This is when you pull your hand away when you have pain, okay? So here we go. Here is our neuron number 1, is the blue one. If there's something nasty there, like you put your hand on a hot stove or something, it will be detected by these sensory neurons, okay? It's going to detect that, ouch, ouch, action potentials. Action potentials. Oh, back a slide. Sorry, action potentials. Come up here, come in from the back, the spinal cord. This neuron passes the information onto this neuron, so action potential, action potential, action potential, and then what we want to do is we want to tell the muscles in your arm to contract to get your hand away from that painful stimulus. Now this one is a 3 neuron reflex arc, okay? And this happens, so when you take your hand away from a painful stimulus, you do it, it happens, and then your brain goes, oh, I just found out what happened, okay? All of this happens in your spinal cord. The brain's not involved until after the fact. All right, let's have a look at another example of a reflex. This time it involves glands, okay? Now, when we are thinking about yummy food or we smell something delicious, okay, or we put something in our mouth and it's really delicious, our glands, our salivary glands start to spit out saliva into our mouth, okay? We can't control that. You can't control you salivating, okay? So this is an example of a reflex, okay? Things are happening and tells your glands what to do. Now, you can't stop this from happening. It happens in like a very, very pre-programmed neural network. Yeah? So here we go. Here is your higher centers, your brain. Hypothalamus tells your salivary center to please release some of that saliva. Okay, so why is learning about reflexes important? Because if you test somebody's reflexes and their reflexes don't work, it means there's something wrong along the neuron chain. Okay? So that is why reflexes are important to test. Because if the reflex is not working, one of those neurons is damaged, because you know how it's supposed to work. You know the action that it should allow you to produce. And that's reflexes for you. Very, very concise, basic, fundamental overview of reflexes.